What are you doing?
That for me?
Yeah, I bought you some water.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Just thought I'd come out here and see what you were doing.
You gonna do a forest walk around, or you gonna just see all the stuff I'm doing?
Just see all the stuff you're doing.
Okay, well, I think in the last 3 days, not in 3 days in a row, but last week, I went out, came out, I took a day off, came out, took a day off, and came out today. I think I've cut 50 trees down so far.
Wow.
I mean, you know, they're not massive trees, just these little stick trees, but, and you know, the best thing about it is, like, when I get done cutting all this, anybody that comes out here will not know I cut a single tree down.
Oh.
And every year it gets just as dark, because I'll cut down 50 little trees and it'll get really, really bright in here because of all the extra sunlight coming in, and it takes like a month for the tops of those other trees to fill in them empty spaces. And the trees look so much healthier. It's like all these trees are, well, just come on and follow me and I'll show you the kind of trees I'm cutting out. Okay.
What are you showing me?
Alright, see, this is like a double trunk. This is a black gum tree.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And see, it's got a rotten spot on it anyway. This tree right here, if I was, look at that thing. God.
What was that?
I saw it go the other way. I'm thinking it was a hawk. I mean, not a hawk.
Owl.
No, it wasn't an owl. Maybe a buzzard. But he was really low. I saw him going the other way a minute ago. I was looking and I didn't see him. And then he went from the other direction.
Oh. Wow. Okay.
He was low in the trees. Here's some trees I cut down right here. And here, and here.
I saw it pass by earlier, but I don't know what it was.
Well, when they're doing, anytime you see something passing like at that speed, that's always a buzzard. They're always like, they'll go one direction, a little later go another direction, a little, there he goes over them power lines out there now.
Oh. Yeah, I see a shadow.
Here he goes, right here, look.
Hey. Can you tell what it is?
That is a buzzard. He's just awful low. They don't normally that low.
That's spooky. Huh.
Oh well. I think you showed one of my piles
Yeah.
in your video. You see that little pile of firewood? I mean, that's a little bitty stuff. But if we were to have company over and have a fire, it would be real nice. You know, just go out. Take us about a minute to round up enough.
To do something. I want a fire ring. I've been wanting one.
I gotta get everything, get the lawn mowed out here first before we can have anybody over here.
Yeah. What are you showing me now?
Well, you can't see it in the camera probably, but there's a lot of dirt right here, like sand and stuff.
Yeah.
These, anytime you have a double trunk like that, it always accumulates like wet stuff here. And that'll cause, eventually that'll rot. I mean, this may live another 100 years before it dies, which is probably a good thing because this is bigger than I can handle. You know, I think my saw could probably get through this. I could cut all this up, but I ain't got no way of carrying it, and I'm just not up to the task. But this has already got a rotten spot here. See, that's all full of rotten stuff, and it's getting down into the tree. If I had a bigger saw, or if I was a bigger man, I would probably take this out because this doesn't need to be here. It's a black gum.
Oh.
You know what I'm talking about? I think they call them sweet gums. But anyways, I'll show you why I got one of these I cut. It's a double trunk. I'll show you that now.
Okay.
There goes that buzzard again. You see him throw that shadow?
Yeah.
Look at him. He's just like looking at us, waiting for one of us to die.
Don't worry, it won't be anytime soon. I hope not.
Well, that's one of us that hopes we don't die.
Isn't that weird?
You see this? What, that buzzard?
Yeah.
Kind of, I guess, being this low. Anyways, this is a double trunk.
Yeah.
And if you see, it's like it's real thick. Right in here, it's real thick, but it's still rotten. And there's little rotten holes going through. And I didn't even see that. I just know that these do it. So I cut it down, and you know, here's a hole right here. Look, there's ants in it and everything.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm trying this year to keep an eye out for which ones are double trunks and get all those cut out. We got a bunch of them, and they don't have any future because they get disease in that where the two trunks come together. Now we have a bunch of these out here, and a lot of them were not very successful. I had trees that after the hurricane, I had cut up a bunch of big trees, and those big trees were laying on little trees. So this tree was bent over in an arch, and the whole top of the tree was dead because of that. And so I cut the dead part off, and there was a limb here, and it's been out here like that long enough that now the trunk of the tree and the limb of the tree are starting to look like it's just a tree. Like this here was actually going that way. And that's one experiment I never thought before. I didn't never know if that would work or not, but it came out okay. But at the same time, I'll leave this tree here, but I got a bunch of trees like that where they bent over and little limbs came out and they don't look good.
What kind is it?
This is another gum tree.
Oh.
But yeah, I'll cut a whole bunch of them down this year probably. Things that just don't look right.
Okay.
Here's one of those trees that was bent over. It was going off that way somewhere and it died. So I had to cut the tree off, but the limb grew out. But I am gonna eventually, right now I can't cut this one because it's got a spider living in it. And I don't want to mess up his web. So I'm gonna leave it up here for now. But this one, and there's a bunch of them in here. We just have too many trees out here, and I've got to cut some of them down. And some of them are obviously uglier than others and sicker than others and bent. And so we want the healthy, straight ones that don't have disease, and we don't want the rest. You know, I was talking about that you don't want to cut down trees with spiders on it, but most people don't care about spiders. But at very least, when you're cutting these, you need to look up for bird nests and squirrel nests and things like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, this one here you showed in your last video, the limb that fell out of that tree. And I came out here and cut it up. I cut all the limbs off, dragged them to a fire pile, and then cut all this up into like logs for a fireplace. You know, I'm talking about 50 trees. I'm not exaggerating. I mean, I really have been cutting them down a little bit every day. And they're all everywhere. It's like this whole woods is full of these cut down trees. Yeah, right here, this is a separate tree from this. It's not like growing off of the roots or anything. That was a separate tree, and it was causing that tree to be sick, and this tree was certainly sick. And in fact, I wanted to show you this. Can you see this stuff?
Yeah.
It's like lichens or molds or something growing on there, like little mushroom things.
Oh.
And it's alive, the tree's alive, but anytime you got something like that, you know, that's a sign that tree ain't gonna live very long anyway.
Wow.
So I'll cut it down.
It looks like you have a lot of work ahead of you. Get all these sticks out of the yard.
Oh, right now just getting up off the ground.
You need help?
No. Oh. Gee.
What's wrong with this tree?
Right here, when I first got back out here after Katrina, it was the worst place because it had big trees down about like that big, probably 11 of them, I think. It seemed like it was 11. And they had all fallen all different directions, and I had to come and just cut it up little bits and pieces at a time and haul it out. But two different trees hit this tree and scarred it just a little bit. So this has been 12 years this thing has been dying.
Coming up this month, yeah. Ow.
Yeah, maybe, huh?
Coming up this month will be 12 years.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. I was just guessing. But anyways, whenever a tree gets scarred, even if it's just a little scar, you might as well cut it down. Because, you know, this is what, at 12 years you have this. But this was the biggest tree. This is the only tree that was this big that survived that was in this area. And I thought maybe that was kind of hopeful that I wouldn't lose every last tree. But apparently this one's coming down too, but it's going to come down on its own because once again this is too big for me to deal with. And plus when it finally does give up the ghost and hit the ground, it's easy to work with. You just cut it into chunks and throw it into a fire. This is another tree that's obviously very sick. And if you notice, it's sick all the way up And honestly, this tree needs to come down, but there's no way that I can do it, and I can't afford a logger to come in here and do it. Not only that, but there's no road access out here, so this tree will just have to eventually die on its own when its time runs out. Come on, let's walk this way. Spider right here. Can you see him?
Yeah.
There he goes. Okay, come on. Yeah, you see all these I cut down, all the way down the opening?
Wow.
Look at those clouds over there.
Yeah, they look spooky. Looks like one of those nuclear things.
Hopefully one day we'll see one for real.
Not me.
Oh well, maybe we should go in.
Yeah, maybe we should. Bye.
Bye.